Hi, my name is Brooke Jarboe. I'm 15 and I go to Wild Lake High School, and this is a poem that we wrote called "Say Their Names." Yeah, go.
And I'm Satya Emerick, and I'm 14, also go to Wild Lake.
Say their names: Ricky Dixon, Jalen Willie, Bailey Holt. Say their names to remind yourself of the bright, vibrant young children they were, not school shooting statistics, more than just a number to throw in the face of your opposer. Cortland Arrington, Preston Cope, Najee Ali Baker, Kimson Green. Say their names to remind yourself of the real children who will never graduate college, never get married, never achieve what we want the future of our country to achieve. Aaron Feist, Chris Hawkson, Scott Beagle. Say their name because these people have dedicated their lives to creating a better tomorrow by bettering the youth of today, but weren't able to live out their lives due to the cold and heartless grip of gun violence. Jaheim Wilson, Lorenzo Smith, Terrell Bosley, Carlos Chase, Tavon Miles, Marquis Johnson. Say their names because the mainstream media will never cover the stories of the black men and women who are murdered due to gun violence in Chicago, Baltimore, and Kansas City on a regular basis. Their names will never be on any news headlines that reach the phones of civilians outside their city or state. They will go unrecognized by most, but just know we are fighting for you too. Janaea Swain, Leonardo Morales, Ava Fields. Say their names, be thankful you had the privilege of growing up and maturing into the beautiful young person you are today, because these kids didn't have the privilege of making it to their 10th birthdays. According to our government, that's what it is: a privilege to live and a right to own an automatic weapon. Nicholas Storette, Meadow Pollack, Joaquin Oliver. Say their names to be thankful you have the opportunity to graduate high school, unlike these students who were just months away from what was supposed to be the beginning of their lives. Gun violence in America affects each and every one of us in one way or another.
Laura Wallen. Say her name because I remember the announcement that was given to us in my class in first period, only the second week of my first year in high school. And I remember the day that we checked the news to see if it was real, if the bullet through her head was real. And I remember the cold silence broken by the inevitable footsteps of children who realized that for the rest of their high school career, they would never see their favorite teacher again, a woman who provided nothing but positive influence, inspiration, and gratitude to her students. For the thank you and goodbye letters that covered the door to her room and the blacked out hallways, to the days that my teachers couldn't bring themselves to give a lesson because the death of her had left a void in our entire school community. Say their names until they ring in your ears louder than any gunfire, so their mere presence leaves a pit deeper in your gut than the bullet holes scattered along brick walls. Say the names of family, someone's sister, someone's brother, someone's son, someone's daughter, significant other, best friend, star athlete, prom queen, classmate who sits to the right of them in Algebra 2. Say their names loud enough that the sound of solidarity spreads across the world, giving life back to the deafened ears of the very children and teachers who never had a chance to speak for themselves. Fight for everyone who lost their lives to gun violence in a matter of minutes and has seen no justice brought by our government, because instead of developing into the positive inspirations that they aspired to be, their lives were cut short by a separate, intrusive agenda to serve as a cruel warning to our children. Fight for gun reform and efficient safety protocols. Fight for what you believe in, because this affects you as a student, as a teacher, as a parent, as a person. For students and staff who aren't people of color, born with targets printed on our backs, adding police presence in the school might seem like reinforcement, something to make us feel safer. For the rest of us, it's anything but safe. When you want to place police at every corner, arm them with more power than the civilians, I don't see requests for safety. I see a glimpse into the hundreds of headlines to come, because the last thing we need is greater power imbalance between the police, between the people and the authorities. And it always seems to slip people's mind that a life lost under the alibi of legality is still a life lost.
Say their names by voting out the government officials who won't. Say their names because our most influential politicians like Marco Rubio, John McCain, and Roy Blunt are taking money from the NRA and allowing these children to die with no justice. Say their names because there have been 33 public shootings with more than 4 victims since February 14, 2018. 26 were left dead and 125 were left injured, but your average person has heard of almost none of them. Say their names because bump stocks, assault rifles, and high-capacity magazines should have been made illegal after 13 kids were shot and killed at Columbine. Say their names to remind yourself how universal background checks and thorough psychiatric evaluations would have saved. Say their names and include it all in a letter to your local government and your Congress to get your message across. Say their names because kids have been killed at what is supposed to be a safe environment for over 2 decades, and our government has done little to nothing to prevent these tragedies from happening. Say their names because right now we aren't safe in our own schools, and every day I walk in just hoping I can end the day calling my best friend and my younger sister. Say their names and recognize it's us to spark a change, because when we relied on our government to make the change we needed, they chose the dollar signs that were followed by death tolls. Say their names and fight like hell so your name doesn't have to be said.
And I'd like to end with one question to the people standing in that building behind me. Can you hear us? And can you see us? Because we hear you, and your time is running out. God, I can't talk.